everybody, thanks so much for listening to Fire Breathing Rob. If you're listening to us here, please subscribe, share, and like this interview. We have a special guest today, the one and only Angela Napoleon. Oh, God, I just screwed up your
No,
damn name.
that's good. We're keeping that because I'm changing my name to that. Angela Napoleon. I like it. We don't need the Napoleon.
Angela Napoleon, and she is here. And she's done so many things in her life at Disney and all over the entertainment aspect of Orlando. We're grateful to have her on. Angela, you know, you're very special to me and also my family.
Your family. I love you guys.
So we're happy to have you on. So let's kick this around and tell people a little bit more about you than what I even just said.
Well, I'm a Sagittarius who enjoys Colox. No, I'm kidding. I don't like Colox. But I am a Sagittarius. No. Hi, everybody. Yeah, I love Disney. I've been here 21 years and hopefully counting. I'm a Northerner by heart. That's why I think we're bonded, Rob. We're like, what is this sweet tea? We're Northerners. You're like, I'm sweet tea. And I've been down here at Disney and currently at Frozen, but I've gotten to do such fun, amazing things through Disney. I met my husband there. I had 3 kids. My water broke on stage. It really did. It broke during the American Idol experience. Jimmy B on one side, SJ Needham on the other. And they both don't have children, so they were very nervous about me being so pregnant. You and your family probably saw me where I was ready to pop and shoot out my baby like a t-shirt cannon.
So hold on, Angela. Wait a minute. So go back, and I know this interview is going to be all over the place, but regardless, we have some funny stories that we got to break through the glass here. So let's talk about this. So when your water broke on stage with those 2 characters, we'll just say
2 characters.
How did that work? Because I don't remember the show. Maybe I was there, maybe I wasn't.
No, I think we were subtle about it. Thank God. Can you imagine? It would be like Epcot. Kids would be like, ooh, terrified. Be scarier than the Tower of Terror that the lady with the 6-inch heels is leaking water like Splash Mountain. But so we played pranks on Jimmy B, me and Ali. Did you have Ali on your show?
Yeah.
I love him and I love Jimmy B. We would play pranks on Jimmy B because Jimmy B was so scared that my water was going to break with him on stage. And to me, that was a challenge to me and Ali, who loved to play pranks. It was like, I want you to play a prank on me. So we would one time in my dressing room, we had Jimmy B come over and I was like, I'm not feeling good. This is terrible. And Ali was hiding behind and threw a glass of water underneath and Jimmy B was screaming. Oh! So then when my daughter Sophie, who you just met, who's 9 now, she was born 3 weeks early. And so I was planning on working till the very end. I had a great director who was so kind, that was and all my management was so wonderful at Idol that were I work until you pop. So now I'm I don't think they wanted to have to get a sub. So I worked and all of a sudden I was oh, that feels a little weird. So then I knew I was going to my doctor's after. So I still got up. I got the music in me in the show at the end. And I felt something. And then I sat down and I kind of was to them, something's not going right. But then I still waited till the end of the show, like a true.
Wow.
The show must go on, even if a baby is being born. And so then, I went and shook everybody's hand at the end of the show. And then it was my first baby, so I wasn't sure definitely that it was coming. But then I went to my doctor's, and then my husband was doing hoop-de-doo at the time, and he was on his way to do hoop-de-doo. And it was the only appointment that he was missing of our child. And my mom was coming with me, who's an RN, so thank God I had her. And she was, when they told me, they're like, oh, your baby, you're no fluid. Like your baby is coming out right now. I was like, I'm gonna call my husband. So he had to like leave hoop-de-doo, and
Jeez.
he had a bambino boy. I gave birth with eyelashes on and a full makeup. I think they thought like either she is an exotic dancer, because why is she wearing fake eyelashes, or she does a Disney show.
Yeah. Wow. That
It
is
felt like a
quite
Kardashian thing, but I had fake eyelashes.
that is quite incredible. So we'll even
Um,
go more into Idol since we're just talking about it. So
Okay.
that show, and I told you this, it meant a lot to me because it was always a different show. It was something that we could enjoy, and you get to know the same people as far as the same judges, the same hosts, judges such as yourself,
Yeah.
Lisa, Jimmy Braswell, the
Yes.
Carol was great.
Yes,
Yes,
Carol. Love
Carol's
her.
great.
Pocket size.
I actually taught her son at Celebration High School. Now he's in the military now. And I know her other son used to
Yes.
work there, Dominic. I don't know if he's still
Yes,
there.
Dominic. And Mia, her daughter Mia is doing so good.
Right,
Carol
the
was there like the
cheerleader.
second day after I gave birth. She held Sophie. Yes.
So anyway,
love
so there
her.
was so many great people, obviously with the hosts, Ryan, Greg.
Yes.
We love Ryan and Greg, both of them. And they were
Yes.
so great to my family and I too. So it was like a family. If you went religiously, such as I did, and I know there was quite a few other people that did go religiously too, it
Yeah.
was like a family affair like that. And you'd meet people outside of that door
Yeah.
at the ABC commissary, and people would
Yes.
walk out and talk, and it was a
It
good
was so
old time.
wonderful.
So
Yes.
let's talk about that show. First of all, when did you audition for that show? How did you find out about that show? And even what were you
Oh.
doing before?
So I was at Pleasure Island. I told you I was at Adventures Club. I played a French maid named Sugar Snap, and I played Samantha Sterling. And then Pleasure Island, we got called one day. We kind of knew that this thing, Disney Springs, was going to be built, but we got called, everybody to come in on our day off and to meet at one of the clubs there, like during the day. So we all were like, I think this might be the day that we're told. So we all went, and they said Pleasure Island's closing. I forget how many weeks they gave us, but they gave us a nice amount of weeks to kind of, but we were in denial. I remember like asking the question, a bunch of us, like, so when you say that the clubs are closing, do you mean Adventures Club and Comedy Warehouse? And they're like, yeah, that's why you're here. So because that was like a family too, that whole entire, we all were very close and still are. And so it was so sad when that closed. And so me and Lisa were lucky enough to be moved to an amazing show about Velcro, hook and loop
Yes, over in Epcot. Yes.
Which like sounds so silly. It turned out to be, we didn't know what to expect, because we went from like these amazing dream jobs that we had at Pleasure Island to like suddenly like moving, and it ended up being like so wonderful and low key. One of my favorite managers, Vicky Christopherson, I had there, and just met wonderful people and wonderful cast, and just was so low key. Like we had our costumes hanging. We just could pick what we wanted to wear for the day. Like, and Epcot's delicious, so we would go up and eat. Like, on our break, it was so fun. But it was about Velcro, so didn't get a lot of people that came. My mom still to this day, as beautiful as like Frozen's theater is, and American Idols was, and she's still like, I thought that theater where you do hook and loop was so beautiful. And it was like a little sad area in innovation. She's our number one fan. But anyway, so then I got called that to come in for a callback for American Idol. I didn't initially audition for it. So I got called to come in, invited to come in for callback. I went in. I just cut my hair, I remember. So I felt like Rapunzel. I was like, my confidence is down because I used to have really long hair. And I was like, oh, I'm going to go in for this. So I went in, and I remember it like it was yesterday. A wonderful man named Ron LaRosa, who I knew earlier in my career at Disney, who's a casting director they brought back. He was there, and Mark Renfro, our awesome director, was there. And They had singers that they had hired, professional singers who came in and sang for us for the callback. And then they just randomly put 3 people in there. And I didn't know the people that I was in there with. And then they were just like, okay, comment. And I remember something about they sang like a Georgia song. And I remember saying about furry legs or something like outlandish. And the other judges that were with me that I never met, they were like very serious about how, and so I was like, you know what? Because I worked myself up that I'm like, I'm going to be so serious about, I was serious about, these people, but I decided I'm going to like try to still be myself. Like this is something I would say normally. And they were so wonderful and receptive. And then I got a call and Lisa got the call that we were going to be then move there. And so then they moved us to Hook and Loop for like a short little time so we wouldn't lose our seniority, which was so kind. Right. And then we got to be part of the creative process as far as when rehearsal started for American Idol. And it was so nice. One of my favorite area managers, Eva, she was there and we just we felt so respected and nice when Idol first opened. It was so nice.
So you were there from the start in 2009.
Yes, I was there from the start. Me, Jimmy B. Well, there was a bunch of us. Right. Carol, almost all of us. Patty, Lisa. We all kind of. They were so nice and loyal, and we kind of got to start it and then finish it, which was so nice.
Right. So going into that, like, I know it was so hard to be a judge because you look at most of the audience couldn't see this, but they had the lights, the red, the yellow, and the green. Yes. So, and the audience couldn't see that. So can you talk about that? Like watching somebody on stage, you were mostly number 2, right? You weren't really number 1 much.
Yeah. So they wanted us to, be ourselves. That's why we were hired, but they wanted it to have like a flavor, like as far as, Simon wasn't cast because he was Simon, or whatever. It was cast because he was him, he was a derivative of himself, but they wanted certain people to have certain flavors. So like number 1 was kind of like the more hip one, of course. Number 2, more positive. Number 3, like tells it like it is, kind of thing. That was all that we were told. Like those were the like boxes, but they wanted us to be honest because they wanted to use our backgrounds and stuff for that. But yeah, the lights they put the lights on so we could know when to shut up, because I don't know if you notice, I'm a talker. So and I'm Italian, so I could talk like all day.
I'm Italian too, so
yeah, that's why we're friends. Yeah, so that was like the hardest part of the job was actually being told don't talk as much. So that was but it was so wonderful to see these amazing talents, and get to do it. And it was a wonderful time in my life.
So we go into this, and obviously I don't know if you ever worked at Universal too, but oh, okay. Well, regardless of that, so we talk about Disney, and there's a very strict image of what you can say and what you can't say at Disney. Being on the Idol stage, and we obviously know there's this PC culture now. We really have to watch out what you say because people get so offended by everything when they don't understand this is a comedy show, just like Comedy Warehouse was. This is a comedy show. We're trying to make people laugh. So when you are sitting on stage at Idol, did you ever worry about like saying different stuff? No, not really, because you were mostly that positive person.
Yeah, I mean, there definitely were times where like by nature, because we were playing ourselves, there was a amazing stamp of I was being hired to be Angela, where when I do outside gigs or whatever, I was Angela, I'm saying or whatever, but there was some kind of beautifulness and some responsibility of being hired as myself and of my background, not playing, oh, you're Sugar Snap the French maid, or the wacky lady in the Velcro show. It was Angela. So I did take a lot of responsibility in wanting to give an honest critique, but yet wanting, like me by nature, I would never just say it like it is, so I wanted to make sure that, people left, I hope, feeling elevated, and because we really were there to find talent, we were there. We had a responsibility to help, find the next big person and pass them on to the actual show. So I love being a shepherd of like talent. And so yeah, I definitely felt a responsibility to, you know, watch what I said, maybe a little bit, you know, tone it down a little bit, but not cuss. I cuss a lot. So that was kind of hard not to cuss.
Jeez.
Not that I felt like I needed to cuss all the time, but every once in a while, you know, so that was probably the hardest part.
What was the hardest part when you see the same people coming up? And I interviewed these people, Jimmy Barkin and Louise, that come up.
No sunshine when it's gone. I remember his song.
Yeah.
You know
And he's got
what?
they got beautiful voices, but they come up and they're consistently on the stage. And you're like, and you ever think like, hey, you know, it's gonna be a good performance, but what are these people doing? They keep coming and coming.
Are you kidding? So I think Disney wasn't thinking though, like at times when they made this show, because we at times were like, oh my gosh, we got to get a show up and going, you know, and these people were champions because they would make our shows frickin' shine. They were amazing.
They were great.
But you know, Idol was such, you know, this probably just from watching it, there was such a weird science to it, because we would say to people like, hey, because you'd have the person that would come all dressed up because they wanted that dream ticket, you know, so they'd be dressed to the nines and you could tell they were a professional singer and they'd be amazing. And the audience, we would notice, would be like, I don't want them. I want the girl that looks like we just pulled her off the street, is in her fanny pack and sweaty and is singing this amazing song. So we'd be like, hey, like maybe next time when you come back, maybe don't dress the part, which for any other audition in this industry, you know, you dress the part, it's like a job interview. So we'd be like, hey, just wear shorts and a Mickey shirt, you know, because the audience, I felt like would root for the underdog that could sing, but look like they were dressed like that, you know, kind of thing. So that was a neat science to see that.
Well, did you ever run into anybody that you felt was like drunk or a little off?
Oh yeah. Well, we had a couple incidences where people were, I think, a little, and that was just some of the people I was working. No, I'm kidding. No, but I think I didn't see as much drunkenness as I wanted to. I think I was rooting for it. Like I did want them to have a little and then come on and sing, but I didn't have as much. I remember a sweet lady, and I hope maybe she's watching this. Let's hope. She was so precious, and I still quote her, and I mean this with like I'm not making fun of her. Like I mean, I love this quote, and it gets me through the day. She was this precious English lady. I wish I knew her name. She only came once to Idol, and she was like a bit nervous, like how I have like diarrhea of the mouth when I'm nervous. And so she was like precious, and we're interviewing her. We're like, so what do you like? You know? And she said, oh, I like sausages. And that's all she said. Like, we're like, it made me, I think it was me and Jimmy B. We were like peeing our pants because it was so precious and so honest. So anytime I'm nervous in life, I will say, oh, I like sausages, because I just think the randomness, you know, in her head afterwards, she was like, why did I say sausages? It sounds dirty. It sounds funny, you know. So there you go. If you ever feel nervous, just say it in English accent.
You know what got me mad though? I talked to a lot of people that were ushers at Idol, people that went a lot, and they'd say, oh, the songs are the same songs. And I said, yeah. I said, but if you go to Frozen 100 times, you got those songs are the same songs. And if you go to a great movie ride, it's the same songs and same things too.
Same songs.
And it's really not always progress. Yeah, right, true. And it's not always the same songs. Yeah, there's Listen was the, you know, usually the 5 spot in the finale.
There were certain songs that I was like, I don't care what you sound like. I love this song.
American
Set Fire
Honey
to the Rain.
And
Set fire to the rain. I was like, yes. I didn't care
Independence
what mood
Day.
I was in. Yes, Independence Day. And that one was actually tricky because we'd have so many people that would come out and do, well, it seems all right, but dawn's early light. And then but daddy left his poop on his cheek. And I think they thought it was patriotic, which it was. There was like a
abuse.
But it was not abuse. And they would smile and be like, cheek, and you're like, no. So there were certain songs, and after I ended Idol, there was times where I was like, oh my gosh, this song has a second verse, because we only heard that first verse for Idol for so many years. But then when I would be like playing it on the radio, I'd be like, no, this isn't how the song goes. And they'd be like, Angela, there was more to the song. They had to do a cut. So that was.
Did you ever get recognized outside Idol?
I not a ton, but I did like, yeah. I mean, like when we go through the park, because that was a big thing too, using our first and last names.
Right.
You know, here we were like, you know, I was single at the time, and like Lisa, you know, we all were, and so like we were like nervous. I remember during the rehearsal process, because like Jimmy B could be Jimmy B, and we were nervous to use our first full, you know, our first and last name, because we're like, anybody could really look us up.
Somebody might be a stalker or something.
You don't know, you know, you don't know in this. But but then our director Mark Renfro was like, I want them to be able to see your credentials, and
yeah. So you know, a lot of people I knew that I was, you know, I took my girlfriend at the time to that show, and she said, oh, these people aren't really. And I said, you know, because I had been gone for that time for quite a while. I said, yeah, these people have been involved in a lot of these TV and theater productions. So what did you do on MTV? Because I remember your line was something on MTV. I forgot the whole line.
Faces tour. So I got to do a lot with them. Correspondent I was, and they had a talent show where they were having singers come, and I got to be the host of that. And then I got to interview Katy Perry and Neo and a bunch of up and coming people. And so that was like one of the highlights of my career as a singer, you know, getting to be a singer and getting to meet these people and kind of harvest their talent too, which was so great. They had a contest where they could sing with them.
So what, you know, who are you real close to that I guess you still talk to as far as at Idol in general? Or do you talk to pretty much everybody?
Yeah, I mean, you know, as time goes by, you don't get to see as much. SJ I work with, and Lisa, so I see them on a regular basis. SJ's, we've been together because we did Adventures Club together, me and SJ. So it's been, I should really get a medal, I feel like, for working with.
Yeah, so what's the deal with SJ's personality? Because I remember at the end of Idol, I'm not sure if you were out there, but I know a couple of people were. Mark Daniel was out there, Greg, Jimmy B was out there, and they had like a little, when the audition experience closed for that final time, I was actually out there because like I told you, I skipped out of work that whole day, went to every Idol show that day. Well, hey, it was my favorite thing at Hollywood Studios, and it was the last time.
And you guys were our cast. You were a part of our family.
So right. So I wasn't going to miss that. Actually, Jimmy asked me to go to that. I forgot that bar after.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, but we didn't go because, but I should have went now thinking back, but regardless.
What's the reunion?
Yeah, now I forgot what the hell I was going to say.
No, I think you were saying like a bunch of us afterwards. Like,
oh yeah, so SJ was out there, and they were asking him to talk, and he said no, and that was. So what is the story? What is the personality of SJ Needham? Is that just all fake to the people?
I think it's a little of both. Like I said, we're a derivative of who we are, but he's such a good guy and a kind soul, and his bark is bigger than his bite.
Okay, so it's probably fake.
And it sounds so sweet because he has an English accent. Like, you know, if I would be that way, they'd be like, get her out of here. But he's like, he's a horrible, you know. And you're like, I think he loves me.
He was the best number 3. Although Jimmy B, I saw Jimmy B do a number 3 one time, and that was pretty funny. You didn't see that too much, but I saw it once or twice, and it was pretty funny.
Oh my god! And Rainey, we love. Did you get
yes,
to interview
Rainey's supposed to do this too.
Rainey's such amazing.
But he didn't do much at the end, right?
He didn't. He chose to, you know, he does a lot of theater, and he chose to do theater, and he does spoken word. He's such an amazing human, just a solid, genuine human. I love him. They were such a great group of people, truly, and everybody. I feel like everybody brought their own, you know, thing to the table, and like my background was. You know, theater, and I was doing the lottery commercials at the time of Idol. So it was just such a fun time in our lives. And I don't think we ever took it for granted that we got to do this amazing thing and work with guests. And, you know, like, yeah, you guys became a part of our life. The Esdens, Luke Esden, I still think about how amazing he was in that show. And there were such good people. And yeah, we all miss each other, and we miss the clothes.
Yeah.
And the
So what happened? Right. Yeah. So what's the story with the clothes? I heard Jimmy B had the best clothes in the world over there by far. It wasn't even close with the Versace.
We were wearing leather, and he was wearing leather, as he should. The beautiful man. Yeah, we all got to go and shop. And just our costumer Giselle is so kind, and we got to, you know, have a shopping day. When else do you get to do that and pick out clothes? I remember feeling like Pretty Woman, and like the scene where she's like, he like, you know, they shut the box on her hand because we were wearing such nice clothes.
I was told they were feeding people there while they were shopping.
Yes, they were. Did they tell you that?
Yeah.
I love and every once in a while, I remember I was newly engaged, like, you know, at Idol, and I would forget every once in a while, like, my actual ring, and wear like my show ring home. And my husband, like, now my husband would be like, "Are you trying to tell me something?" Because it would be like the rock from the Titanic on my finger. I'm like, oh my God. Yes, they fed us. I love it. They told you that. They feed us. Yeah, it was such a great.
I got a little bit of inside information, not too much, but I got some.
Should.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's what they told me about the show closing, that because you would know this because you were there since the start, that the show was supposed to close in January of 2015. Then they bumped it back to August 30th of 2014, which I was ticked off about. But, you know, my assumptions is, and what I've heard from, and I think Jimmy B told me this personally, when they were closed, was the cost of the songs, the licensing, the liability, and all the money they had to dish out to Fox and American Idol.
I think it would have been a different, you wonder if we would have lasted a tiny bit longer if we had owned it, you know? And then right after.
Well, what about Angela, if they started earlier when the show was, you know, you look back to the ceilings, like when Kelly Clarkson, or I mean, Doug Live was there. I don't really remember Doug Live, period. So
I think you would have been like a baby of Doug Live. I remember as a guest coming down and seeing it.
I was born in '89, so I don't remember much about Doug Live. So
yeah, I remember it was really that theater. I mean, I've been in that theater now 11 years, the Hyperion. Because it was Idol, and then we went to premiere, and now we're back with Frozen there. And it's just like, there's something weirdly like comforting about it.
Yeah.
Because I've been there for so, you know, that's been our home, and our dressing rooms haven't changed. And we keep little, there's a couple little Idol odes backstage in our dressing room and stuff that we're like, oh. Yeah.
Well, I heard that when that ended, that really crushed a lot of people, because all those people out of jobs, and a lot of them, some of them, it was, you know, a tough place for them to find a job at that time. Is that true, or how were you prepared for all that?
Yeah. Well, I remember like the first meeting we went into, we were all like so distraught, and just because it was the end of an era, and for me, that show had so not only so many lifelong friends that I was close with there, but I also had so much life events that happened while I was at Idol, like doing that show. I had, you know, got married, got pregnant, my first kid, like, so it was such a near and dear place. And I think by nature, like for a lot of us, like changes, you know, yes, we are evolving outside of our careers, but that was our steady of, oh gosh, you know. So when we first were called in, we were kind of crapping our pants, and then when we got called back to say, hey, just kidding, we're moving it earlier, the closing, we were all just kind of like emotionally drained. And then we went right into contract meetings, because we have contracts every year at Disney for equity performers. So we went right into contract. I remember looking back and seeing casting, being there in the back of the theater and being like, okay, because I had been through it kind of with Pleasure Island. So we kind of knew, those of us, and a lot of us came from Pleasure Island that were doing that show. And so we were like, oh, here it goes. So then we went literally right into contract meetings in the office on, you know, off to the side of the stage. And And luckily me and Lisa had been at that time workshopping, or we were doing Frozen as an event, the Frozen sing along. It was considered an event at first because they were doing Frozen Summer Fun. And then when we
Yeah,
got
right.
called,
And the
yeah,
fireworks and the
so
parade, right.
yeah, and we were actually doing our show at the premiere when we were still doing
Right.
Idol. But then luckily then when we went in, then they were like, into our contract meeting, then they were like, hey, just so you know, like we're making this into a full-time gig. So that was like a huge blessing. But of course, then you have guilt and you feel awful because so many of your friends and these amazing talents are, are gonna, are they all gonna find a place, at that moment
Yeah.
to do it? Yeah. So I think in a way it was a blessing because a lot of people like are so amazing, doing such amazing things. And
Yeah.
but it was sad. It's always sad when it closed because it is like a family. It's a dysfunctional
Right.
family.
And I
Yeah.
think it was sad too because it's different than a ride because as you said, you all knew each other. You had worked with each other for even before the 5 years of Idol. A lot of you
Yeah.
guys. So it was
Yeah. A lot of
different.
us had known. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then all those
Yeah.
people are going to different, parts in the
Yeah.
park or
Of the
they're,
world.
moving
Yeah.
out. So
Yeah. 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 So we try to, I think Facebook is so wonderful. I'm a Mima.
yeah,
I have Instagram, but I don't use it. I'm like,
right,
I'm Amish. But I feel like I do think Facebook is so awesome in a way because you can still see what people are doing, keep in touch that way.
right.
So that's a good thing. Yeah. But it'll always be so dear to my heart. Yeah.
Well, we'll
Yeah.
end with
So
this. What was your favorite part of the experience in general? Just working with people that you knew or meeting
yeah,
different people?
I think for me, I I absolutely loved getting to have, I love music, music's such a part, but to get to see all the different talents that would
Mhm.
come to our stage and and just see everybody's confidence, even if they didn't win, there was something so rewarding about seeing their confidence, like, it's people that would even come back and see their confidence grow, or in a show, all of a sudden giving that person a compliment or feedback. And they were so precious and, it would make them excited or, you know, help kind of journey them on this path, and give them a memory. I think that was so beautiful to give them a memory of getting to be at Disney and they're the star of the show. Where else was that? What other show had
Right, there
that where they
wasn't.
were the star of the show? And getting to see, truly, I'm not just saying this because you're doing this, but getting to see you and your family. I mean, you do become like, you do become a family because you're like, oh my gosh. And we would worry if we wouldn't see, you guys or certain
Yeah,
people, you'd be like, are they okay? We became this family and we celebrated holidays together because you're
yeah,
there,
yeah.
and so
Well,
that
it's
was,
nice
I
to
miss it.
follow people that are, I mean, like we enjoyed your show at Idol. We enjoyed what you're doing now, and we would consistently follow you, obviously, because the pandemic, a lot of stuff has changed. But
Yes.
yeah, we'll definitely be back. And it's really, like I said, it's an honor to, to watch all these people
Oh,
that we love and enjoy, what they do because your comedy or you saying hi, you might think it's nothing, but it brings a smile to our face too.
oh,
So
look, I feel that way about you guys, truly.
yeah. No, no, we
That's what
appreciate it.
I feel like that's the gift that Disney kind of gives as much, as you're like, oh my gosh, there it gives us this gift of where else in theater can you build these relationships with
Yeah.
audience members, with people that have been, in the show like for Idol. Where else can you do that, And I think that's the gift that kind of Disney gives.
We'll
And
end
that's why
with
it's good to
that.
me. Yes,
Angela, thanks
sounds
so
good.
much. I'm gonna stop
I
this
love
one.
you, my friend. I Be careful and go get your